that we don't have Major League Baseball, that we don't have some concrete plan that's come out from Adam Silver, much like last week, which was anticipated, mind you. The NBA restart debate is there. Who's in, who's out, why, and when we are actually going to see the game, sure. But nothing has moved. Nothing is really moved. And that's a good thing because it allows us to really stop, pause, and experience, which is the biggest piece here, what's happening around the country. And it is happening around the country. You're not free from it in any place, I promise you that.
For the ones we trust to always be there. For the ones caring for others. For the ones...
I did want to let you know that will be times where I have to step out because I have to help with my cursing.
Standing.
So kind of like what Ron does when he was working with you.
Okay. No,
I'll just say like in your ear, like step away from the board or something like that.
Okay.
We're grateful for all you do. Visit Grainger.com for resources that can help as you create your recovery plan. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
This is an urgent health notice for all residents suffering from back, neck, knee, and wrist pain. You may qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you, but the deadline is fast approaching. Simply call the Health Alert Hotline now.
You heard right. You may qualify for a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace. These items may even be covered by Medicare or your private insurance. The Health Alert Hotline is your brace company. These specialized braces have been tested for pain relief. Call us toll-free right now to determine your eligibility and to learn how to use your private insurance or Medicare to minimize your out-of-pocket cost. Don't wait. If the deadline passes, you may lose your opportunity to get a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace at little or no cost to you.
800-608-1881. 800-608-1881. 800-608-1881. That's 800-608-1881.
My name is Megan Eddings, founder and CEO of Excel Lifestyle. Research shows that wearing a face mask drastically reduces the spread of the coronavirus. Excel Lifestyle's Prima antibacterial face masks are soft, washable, and double layer for added protection. To purchase you and your loved one's face mask, please go to excellifestyle.com. That's ACCEL lifestyle.com. Once we receive your order, we will ship your masks out immediately. Thank you and stay safe.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
All right, that Shander shows how you get me on Twitter. You were live on the stream, up and running right now. Twitch.tv/Shander Show. And again, your phone number, your platform, it's an opportunity like we had with the pandemic. It's a different circumstance, completely set circumstances, different, of course, but still the opportunity always remains the same. And while we'll take all of your comments on social media, this is one that's here on the radio, still a purer form. And at some point we're going to have to go. We're going to have to move the call on. We can't have you on forever, but you're going to be able to speak and actually express how you feel and not have to worry about it being corrupted by bots and other just misinformation that you get thrown in on a thread. And if you don't believe me, and this is a part of the problem that we now are experiencing on Twitter, because the evolution of it was leave TV news for the internet, for blogs and for sites that are covering news their own way. And then those sites and blogs merged into having a social media account like the rest of us did and just posted snippets, headlines, short videos of content on there. And what's happened since is we have now this heavy reliance on social media, upon just waking up. I said this the other day. I'm on here 7 days, so they do blend together every now and again. It might have been Saturday or Sunday, but we get to the point where you'll wake up, and I guarantee you that you're checking your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram notifications before you check any message or email. It might even be a phone call that you, it's not my parents, or whatever. It's not my wife or husband, whatever. Just voicemail this sucker and let me get back to Instagram. We are on social media as much as we are in the real world as a whole collectively. It doesn't impact the real world, I think, as much as people want. And that's why we have infiltration. There's infiltration on the ground with protests now turning to riots. And I warned you this would it's Tuesday. I brought this up on Friday's show for a reason, because hopefully people going into the weekend can understand the conversation was about to shift. And if you prepare for something, and if you can weather what's coming at you, you can respond, you can counter. If you can weather, and we're on a sports show, might as well. If you could withstand that first barrage from Mike Tyson, you had him. If you can understand why people are trying to shift the focus from people who are peacefully protesting or just protesting without rioting and looting, we should probably drop the peaceful element of it, because you can protest without it being peaceful, without it being a riot and looting, and still be very effective. So the protesting versus the rioting and looting that has followed. And now everything is as a result of that conversation in the latter. Everything. So it makes it difficult to go back and focus on what needs to happen and what needs to change and how we can move forward. And I know that the sexy thing to say now for everybody, Steve Nash, the latest, and this is not a knock, it's just an observation. The sexy thing to say now is just vote, vote, vote. Vote, vote, vote. And sure, it would be nice to see a change. It would be nice to see a different direction. But I hate to say it, we've been under this no matter who the president is. We've been dealing with this. And when you say something is systemic and you say something has root issues, like bigotry that could be manifested into the taking of a life due to the power that somebody has in law, and basically being an arbitrary judiciary in that point, right, of who receives the law and who doesn't. And you're on the ground and you're making those decisions, and those decisions result in an unnecessary murder. It's not something that, and I hate to say this because you know how the polarized mind is going to take this, like I'm supporting something that's in existence when I'm really not. You can be in the middle and you could provide nuance and say, yeah, we're not good right now, and we haven't been good under the opposite side either. Like those two things can coexist. So when you see people lay out a list of things to do, just understand that fundamental change on how we see one another and how we approach one another and how we deal with each other when something is in a disagreement or something turns towards, if it's hostile or simply, no, you're wrong. And that conversation ensues without it turning into, well, you're just wrong because of your skin color, or I just hate you anyway because of your skin color. There are ways in which you can undo that damage. Just as we see the psychological tactics that are being implemented right now on social media and on the ground, be it the National Guard or police force, wherever, in whatever city you're in, this can happen in reverse. You can reverse these processes as well. It's not the same, but you can reverse damage and actually heal stuff that's done to the brain. But it takes time and effort. And the easy way is just to come in, like what's happening to the people who are protesting, is just come in and obliterate. Come in and wipe out. I mean, if there is no better representation of the root problems that are faced by the very same community who seems to be ignored now or vilified, either one. And again, 800-224-2004 is what happened in Louisville. David McAtee, who not only was a neighborhood barbecue chef and pillar in the community as described by many, but went out of his way to feed local police for free. This was part of who he was as a human being. A gateway, somebody who could straddle that line. Do you know how rare that is? Especially in communities that are being impacted by this bigotry, lived out the most. To have somebody who is both a pillar in their own community and still maintain that trust to be able to reach out and have positive interactions, not one, but multiple, with the local police. And that was a bridge. That man was a bridge between communities and was the living embodiment of change that could be copied and pasted by the other side, by more pillars of the other community who would reach out and actually stand with David McAtee's community. But McAtee now is no longer with us. He's gone because although authorities say someone in a crowd shot first and they had to return fire, witnesses dispute that. This man's death came as a result of him trying to disperse the crowds that allegedly had the shots first. He was out there again, being a living embodiment of the community, being a pillar, living that change that he wanted to see while knowing that at some point it was going to get out of hand. And he was doing his best to be the voice and be the face to his own community to say, we need to disperse at the moment. We need to move on at the moment. And not let it get to the point in which police fired back. But police fired back or police fired, depending on how this story goes down. And that cost David's life because David was murdered. It's unfathomable in its own right. It's another name to a very long list on the other side. And this is all as a result of what happened with George Floyd specifically. But remember, this wasn't the first time. Much like Floyd's murder wasn't the first, Colin Kaepernick wasn't the first. The frustration, you have to understand where frustration begins. And from there, how it bubbles. You have to understand that a bubbling over of frustration is not just going to be 200 people marching up and down your main street in a small town outside of Boise, Idaho. It's going to be big. Now, this is where we are right now. And we've been here before. We've been here before. We've actually been 1 to 2 to maybe even 5 steps ahead before. But the problem that we are going to face, much like we initially did with the labeling of protesters as now rioters/looters, simply, and this conflation was on purpose, as I told you on Friday, in order to blur the lines of what's happening and make it more sympathetic when protests are shut down as opposed to riots and looting. And now, as you see, tons of conversation, video, news stories. A story here in Philadelphia. Gun store was robbed or attempted to be robbed one time. So the owner of the gun store stuck around, boarded up his business, locked the doors and everything, and waited on his second floor business for anybody to come back in. And guess what? People came back. They tried to break into this gun store, second floor. I mean, again, the level of ridiculous stupidity is unfathomable here. But this is where we are. These conversations have now taken over because the focus has been shifted from rioting and looting. So somebody went into that store, tried to rob it, and the gun owner and gun store owner was ready and waiting. They put a gun to him. He responded back and fired and killed somebody. And this is the story here in Philadelphia. Beyond, of course, what's happening with the explosions that police say are people trying to blow up ATMs, and others are saying that it's anything from a sonic boom to military tactics. So I don't know what the hell's going on in my city, but I do know that this man who was murdered for trying to help was in a crowd that he was trying to disperse, was somebody who walked that line, who's somebody who lived that change, embodied it to his own community and to another. And I just hope that people understand why this frustration continues despite movements stopping, halting, or being forced back. This is probably the biggest thing I'd want for you to understand from the last 10 or so minutes as we continue, and we'll chat with Xavier Pope coming up at 11:40 Eastern. But this thing does not die. This movement does not stop because of the people that are leading it. It gets pushed back. Similar to the video you'll see of a protester standing there and police swarming around them, pushing them back. I'm not talking about, sometimes it is a club to the head. I'm just saying things get pushed back, things get halted, and it's outside control. So hopefully you can see something like this domino effect. And if you want to go back to Breonna Taylor in Louisville by police, again, cities have their own issues. Cities have their own areas and their own history. So, of course, something will hit home in Louisville, where David McAtee, for example, was murdered trying to help both sides that were involved in a skirmish. This man was leading the movement to help, had been before George Floyd was murdered, had been before Breonna Taylor was murdered. At Shander Show is how you can get me on Twitter, twitch.tv/Shander Show if you want to weigh in on the stream. Again, your phone number, it's wide open. We normally don't take calls, but in this case, if you want to use it as a chance to talk about something, get something off your chest, we don't stick to sports on this show, and you know that. If you've been following me forever, then you know that as well. 800-224-2004. It's the second level.
Into the
Hey, if you want to do it next segment or whenever you get a chance, we got to do the Ben Watts golf read.
the Giants.
Awesome. Thank you for. I have that. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Well, one, it's a new world or an old world back then, so there's not video much of anything, and especially our interactions during practice. So his favorite, I always say this, played under Bill Parcells for 8 years. Of course, we had great success. And when he retired, I had to come home and check my birth certificate to see if my first name began with a P or an F. Because for 8 years, I was F and Sims. F and Sims. F and Sims. It just,
all right, I have the Ben Hogan thing. I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can.
Yeah.
One of my
Xavier Poe's number.
Just got you. Yep. I just
so like Lawrence Taylor does LT, and I go, what? Excuse me, what'd you say? He goes FS. I said, I thought I heard you say that.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays.
Awesome, thanks.
Eastern. Pharrell.
The Cowboys want to make Dak the second highest paid quarterback in the league. Dak wants to make the most money. Essentially, every guy in the league that's a quarterback's making somewhere between 25 and 35 million. Aren't they all making fat money? And aren't they all the eventual demise? These contracts with quarterbacks, the demise of football teams. When you have to pay one guy that much money, it breaks up the team.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call. Hammerhead bat. Never heard of that.
Hammerhead bat. This is pure nightmare fuel.
All right. What is that? Why is this the first time I've ever heard of it?
That's a small dog with wings attached to it.
We should have known about this the second this was discovered. Mosquitoes can't possibly feed this thing. What is
Not
it?
at all. No, I don't know what it eats.
If it doesn't eat humans, what exactly does it eat?
Eats anything it wants to eat.
Right. No kidding. My God, that looks like Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. Now, you know what? I'm sorry to do this when you're battling insomnia because I know you're not sleeping now. Yeah, no, this thing is out there.
I totally.
My bad.
Oh my God.
Should have saved it for after you came back and said, you know what? I got a good night's sleep,
yeah.
Ron.
No,
well, I got a story for you then.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Introducing AutomotiveMap.com. a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com. You're listening to The Second Level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores, here's Eitan Shander.
So we keep telling you about this awesome thing going on where you can buy some amazing golf equipment. And that's exactly where I went. This thing is insane. Now, Jack, do you play golf?
I do.
Okay. Now, are you good?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay. Well, yeah, usually that's accompanied by I do, but I shoot. Like when somebody asks if I play golf, I say, yeah, I play, but I'll shoot like 108 or something like that. You just said I do. That had me thinking that maybe, you've got like a 10 or 12 handicap.
No, I play golf for fun, and I'm pretty sure I've almost hit 200 at one point. I'm that bad.
Okay. Hopefully you weren't walking that day and you were in a cart. All right. So what's the worst element of your game? Is it getting off the tee? Is it your second, third shot? Is it that approach shot from like 60 to 40 yards out? Is it you just missed the green and you need to chip it on? Or is it your putting?
I would say that is my driving game. My short game is better and my putting game is mediocre at best, but sometimes I can hit my 7-iron more farther than I can hit my driver.
Yeah, look, I know that. And I've been there, especially if you get any slice or hook. That's a clear way to kill any distance. So here's the deal. And I did this yesterday. And if it's just getting a new driver, trust me, you can do this as well. But there are some amazing opportunities where you can buy some brand new equipment that comes from, of course, courtesy Ben Hogan Golf, benhogangolf.com. And although Ben Hogan Golf Equipment was founded by Mr. Hogan himself in 1953, this new company was incorporated late 2017. Tour quality, handcrafted premium products online again, exclusively benhogangolf.com. You can't go on any of the big box stores. You can't go anywhere else and get this equipment. It's not sold through traditional golf retailers. You can't even go to your course pro shop where I go or where you go, wherever your course is. You can't do it. The company's cost structure has been reduced and retail markup is eliminated. So think about this. If you're a serious golfer and you're not even that good, but you're a serious golfer, or you're a serious golfer and you're really, really good, either way, you're covered. You can buy some of the highest quality and best performing golf equipment in the world for about half the price of similar equipment offered by other leading manufacturers through traditional retail channels. It's half the price because there's no markup. Think about this. It's amazing where you can look at the forged irons, the wedges. They have utility clubs. It's core business. They manufacture and sell hybrid and utility clubs plus golf bags and accessories. You can get travel gear. You get headgear. If you sweat like me, which is like Patrick Ewing, then you get a headgear, headwear. You sweat through this hat. It's really cool. Umbrellas, towels, if you need a towel for your clubs or for you. Risk-free 14-day demo program. This is what you get at benhogangolf.com. All of these things available. A trade-up program for older used equipment. So you don't like what you have, you want to trade it up, go ahead. You trade up for better equipment from benhogangolf.com. There's no charge customization. Think of that. Same price for steel or graphite shafts. They always get you on that. That little difference maker right there is enough to jack the price up. No charge for length either, lie, or grip size changes. Free domestic shipping on all orders over $500. Let's be honest. Some of these orders might get a little steep, which is fine because you're still getting them half off, essentially. But shipping starts to go up. Who wants to pay $70 on an $850 order where you've already sacrificed some of your hard-earned money to get these fantastic state-of-the-art handcrafted clubs? And on top of all this at the end, you're like, oh, man, really? Now they're going to get me for $70? They're going to get me for $99.99 to get this here in the next week so I can actually play? Because even when you get the money and you get the scratch up to buy them, you want them here, right? Well, no, it's really it's simple. Sorry. Free domestic shipping on all orders over $500. And then you have interest-free financing for those who need it, which is a great opportunity for everybody here to be involved. All right. Xavier Pope is going to join us coming up in 7 minutes. Xavier has been a longtime friend and mentor to me and is the first person that I want to just talk. And I'll explain it just briefly when he comes back. But for those of you, because we're just going to dive into this coming up, for those of you who are familiar with the second level, familiar with me, Eitan Shander, if you follow me in Philly and go beyond, that's fine. There has always been a conversation, and I've always wanted it to be a conversation where I can bring somebody on if they agree, if they disagree, if there's a point of view that maybe isn't heard enough throughout the country. I'm talking about sports first, life second. We talk about a bunch of stuff with John McMullen twice a week, our NFL insider, and a lot of times we go off the rails and talk about serious stuff in life, and we joke because that's what it is. It's ups and downs. But with Xavier, I'm going to hand the platform over to him for about 10 minutes and have him direct the conversation. I'm just going to ask him, how are you feeling? And he's going to take it. And when he needs to take a breath, when he needs to take a pause, I'll fill in. But it's not going to be a traditional interview because it shouldn't be a traditional interview. It should be an opportunity for me and anybody else who has a similar type platform to allow people like Xavier, for example, who are and have been working for change in his immediate to global community for his life, a chance to speak and a chance to explain and a chance to hopefully change a mind or two. You change one mind in somebody, all of a sudden their family starts thinking a little different. People around them start thinking a little different. I've seen it. I didn't come into the world calling what we know as a social construct the term race. I was calling it that. And then through education, understood where it came from, the damages of our language and what we use and how we speak. That's why the whole thing with protest versus riots and looting is important. So if I can see it and be a living example of going to school and interacting with someone who I wouldn't have had that type of interaction on an academic setting with from a teacher standpoint, and learning and seeing other people change how they talk and therefore change how they think and therefore change how they act, then I know and I have all the confidence in the world that it's still a very plausible reality to expect by all means. So we'll talk to Pope coming up in 4 minutes. Also, keep in mind, as we have more stories coming out with initially the J.R. Smith story, now John Bones Jones, for those of you who don't know, UFC fighter. Story about him taking away spray cans from vandals who were sabotaging a George Floyd protest to turn it into something it wasn't. Much like the kid who got his butt whooped by J.R. Smith trying to turn it into something that it wasn't. We'll talk to Xavier Pope. Actually, he'll talk to you coming up next year on the second level.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah, I found it. It was deeper in my log.
Yep.
I'm going to call Xavier right now.
Guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Your employees and customers have new expectations when it comes to cleanliness. Cintas has the products and services you need to feel prepared. A trained Cintas technician can apply disinfectant and sanitizer spray to common surfaces. And we'll keep you well stocked with gloves, face masks, hand sanitizer, and disinfectant wipes, professional cleaning supplies, and PPE. Just a few ways Cintas can help you keep your business safe. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to BestHotelRates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com, it's in the name. Best Hotel.
I don't have them yet. Just give me a sec.
The following is a message from PGIM.
Welcome to Outsea in 60, Perspectives from PGIM Thought Leaders. Here's Mark
All good.
Baribeau, the head of global equity at Jennison Associates.
You're looking at bigger applications of technology playing a role in keeping us all connected, giving us access to information or goods very quickly. So we don't see any of those trends changing. In fact, they're likely to accelerate. There's some new things that have come along, though, that people might find useful, like telemedicine. There were skeptics about that, and I think the more people using it, especially the more doctors are using it today, the more they're liking it. You can see more patients, it can be more effective, it might actually be a better solution.
Hear more PGIM perspectives at pgim.com. That's PIM.com. Partner with PGIM, the investment management business of Prudential. These statements are not intended to be investment advice and should not be used as the basis for any investment decision.
At Fidelity, we understand priorities can change. So when you partner with a dedicated advisor from Fidelity Wealth Management,
Awesome.
they
Thanks,
will
man.
help you develop a personalized wealth strategy, one that can be flexible enough to evolve as your needs change. Plus, they can offer investing
How tall are
strategies
you?
designed to reduce
Curious.
the impact of taxes, all while making sure you understand what you're paying and why. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
All right, so as I discussed a couple of minutes ago, we're going to turn the platform over to our next guest, who has been a longtime friend, mentor, and somebody who I've enjoyed talking about sports and life and beyond with, Xavier Pope. He's a lawyer. He hosts one of the best podcasts. Hopefully you're subscribed. The Suit Up podcast. You can read him at Forbes, and everything from issues to in our society to sports to beyond. We've had a chance to chat with Pope, and I'm grateful for his time. And Xavier, as always, I appreciate you and you spending some time with us on this program. And as I said before the segment, I wanted to just open this up. This is not a typical interview. This is not me throwing questions at you. And this is the platform, and it's an open platform. It's one of the still remaining pure platforms we have in radio. So I'll ask you a question. It's your time. It's your platform. You talk as long as you want. I'll fill in some cracks if you want to take a breath or want to pause for a second. But I'll just ask you a very simple question. How are you feeling?
Hey, man, I'm energized. I got to tell you, I'm really energized. I'm fired up. And that's just based on some self-work that I've done. Knowing me, Eitan, you know that I'm really, what's important to me is really like yoga, mindfulness, exercise, fitness, and all that stuff like that. So before this whole COVID-19 stuff broke out, I just kept my daily practice of meditation and yoga and keeping my positivity. And so that's kept me, and I've continued even through this period. And what I've tried to do is COVID touched me in a different way than this. So COVID, yes, it was something that impacted my personal life, but it was something that I could apply my general knowledge of the world. Clients, what work needs to get done, organize my schedule, organize my personal space in my home. And work around what was going on. And frankly, as a Black person, I grew up in the hood, foster kid on my own at 13 and going to high school on my own and seeing kids, seeing people shot, stabbed, killed. My my two best buddies growing up, they, wanted to turn into drugs. Kid down the street, serving life for murder. And I have to mention this, A-Town. When I was 16 years old, I was only 2 blocks from the place I was living in. I was mugged at gunpoint in my stomach. And I was afraid to leave the house for 2 weeks. And I wanted to get the hell up out of that hood. And I longed for the day that I could live in a decent neighborhood. I never wanted to go back to the hood. And I actually had a disdain for the hood because of all the different things that happened there, having to fight my way about the gangs. And so I lived in a condition where people were already afraid to go outside. And so I had already overcome a lot of that in my life, just personally. And I feel like many African Americans who achieve past getting past these difficult and dangerous situations, I believe so, were better prepared for COVID because they had a situation where they were already lived in a society at one point that made them afraid to go outside. So this is like, oh, this is nothing. Like I just had to move around my schedule. That's what it was for me. So I wasn't as traumatized as a lot of people were, frankly, about it. And so I had a general sense to be above it. But when this happened a time, this impacted me differently. This was something that was a little bit more personal to me. And as many people may have seen from my Twitter timeline, I went right in the middle of the protest here in Chicago. Was right there in the front lines between police and protesters, filmed it, saw the tension, saw how police responded. Different police, some of the police responded really positive, and then they're very friendly. Some of them were antagonistic. Some of the protesters were antagonistic. Some of the protesters were friendly. Some of the protesters seemed to be like they were like Antifa. Some of the protesters seemed like they were white supremacists. Some of the protesters seemed like they were young white kids from the suburbs that just want to break shit to cosplay, some sort of video game they had been playing.
I hit the bleep button.
A lot of millennials that were down there, and they were singing and doing poetry, and they had that type of thing going on. It was so many different elements, and getting to see how the press also portrayed what was happening, but I also saw cop cars destroyed, flipped over, and anytime to see the faces of some of the people who destroyed those cop cars when they destroyed them, and see in their faces, there wasn't the face of joy or evil or malice. It was the face of releasing pain. Some of these people, I saw it, and if you only, I saw it with my own two eyes, and I can't put into words what that felt like to see a young black man shirt off, jumping on top of a hood of a police car, and you could see that he was almost crying as he did it, releasing that pain, and that's something that would never leave me. And so,
take your time.
I was good. I practiced yoga. I ran for 202 miles. I got my grill and barbecue, and I was like, I'm trying to deal with this. And it's like all that stuff that I saw and how ugly the country has to get. For people to actually believe this shit is fucked up for certain people in our world. I'm sorry I'm cursing.
I know it. I know.
I'm sorry.
We have to bleep that. That's all. Just know that.
Bleep it. All right, go bleep it. Go ahead, bleep it. This is how I feel.
I know.
To get to a place in our society where things have to get this ugly.
Yeah.
For people to be like, yo, we believe you. And so I cried as hard as I possibly could because I've navigated through a lot of different hurdles in my life as a black man. It just kept, as a black person, just like, okay, the whole bootstrap stuff, because a lot of us that are high performing, we try to buy into that stuff and succeed our way out of racism. I just got to just, pick my head up and keep moving. You just keep going. But that's how I felt. I'm great now. I had a good cry. I got a good sleep in it. I woke up, picked my head up, thank God for another day and another opportunity to pursue my purpose. And I have to deal with a lot of Black people do. Pick their head up and keep moving, try to live the best life they can. So that's how I feel right now.
Xavier, the emotion and just the discussion that you provide and open up is real, and I appreciate that. And I know a lot of people appreciate just the raw emotion and what you've been feeling for decades, your entire life building up. I will ask you one question, because I know that our time is, we have a chance to speak. So I want to make sure that people listening understand what's happened in the past, which is a movement doesn't die or get pushed back or stop because of the people leading it. It's the exterior forces around it. So how can, and I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing this question, because you were asked after Eric Garner, you were asked after Philando Castile, you were asked after Alton Sterling, you were asked after Amadou Diallo. I mean, the names go on. I'm sure you were asked this same question. And maybe now with social media, and maybe now with more people seeing stuff with their own eyes and not have to rely on TV or papers or what have you, how do we avoid this thing not getting stopped, halted, so that unfortunately we have to re-educate the next time a tragedy like George Floyd's murder happens again?
Now white folks better be lucky. There's a lot of Black people who love this country enough to be able to explain things to y'all. Real talk. Seriously, Black people are the biggest patriots around. Hell, listen to any hip hop song. They're shouting out every neighborhood, every city you can think of. There's no genre of music where America is celebrated more than hip hop. Some people love America. You know why? Because we built this thing. Our ancestors built it and then told their kids how hard they had to work to build the country. So when people try to, slavery was a long time ago. For us, it's every day, because we are reminded by the people who came before us all the different things that they had to deal with, and they pass down these stories about what happened to them and what happened, and so there's a shared understanding of a culture that we actually share with each other. And I feel like the wider society, and I posted a video discussing with white people about this. No matter how cool you get with a Black person, they may even he good, man. There's a piece of the relationship that's missing, because they, in their heart of hearts, don't feel that you really believe them in terms of their lived experience about being Black. There's people that I thought I was really cool with after the election in 2016. They kind of changed a little bit. And the conversations weren't really about justice. They were really more so about framing my Blackness in a way that basically delegitimized my whole entire experience of being Black. And so it's the belief that's really important. And it's not, people are asking themselves, Eitan, what is about this specific murder that's driving what's happening in society? And Black people, you talk to one of us, we get that right away. And it's not naming all the names of people who have been killed, by the way. It's actually naming all the different things that have happened to you in your life, in terms of how now you're understanding that now there are higher rates of deaths from COVID. 100,000 people have died. Many people that are Black know. I personally, Eitan, I grew up a foster kid. There are two people that grew up in my foster home. Two of them, they were in a nurse. One was in a nursing home. One was in an assisted living facility and died.
Yeah, you shared that with
us.
And
then you had people that had guns that went to state capitals. The state capital of Michigan, Eitan, was closed because of these people.
Right.
No tear gas was shot at them. No president sweeping the streets and promising law and order. As a matter of fact, he tweeted for the citizens of Virginia to rise up against their own government. So it's okay for white people, if they don't like how the government is treating them, to go walk and march to the Capitol with guns. But if any measure of people, black, mixed, whatever, decide to stand up for a system that has historically put them last, now it's un-American, now it's domestic terrorism, now it's framing everything in terms of looters. So now we are having a national discussion about looting, which is basically coming to a general stereotype about black people about stealing shit. Yes, me again. Because guess what? Many of us have had the experience of walking around in a store and being followed. It's happened. The experience of being black happens so often, Akon. We forget how many interactions we have on a regular basis because we have to discard them because we have to live and we have to have proper mental health walking around trying to be who we want to be in the world. So this doesn't make you a victim. Not a victim. I'm far from a victim. And I hear all this victim mentality. Yes, we are victims, but we don't have a victim mentality. That's a big difference. Because if you are viewing someone as a victim from a victim mentality, then you're basically saying there's nothing that has happened to them. That means you don't believe them. So yes, we are victims of a racist society, but we don't have a victim mentality.
Right.
We just are victims that we're asking for it to be better, so you can be treated better. So that belief it just extends to a lot of different experiences at the time.
Xavier,
I got a little bit more to add to this because I want people to believe this.
okay, here's the thing. I've got 90 seconds. I've got 90 seconds because I have a hard break. So it's a national. So can you? I hate to compartmentalize what you have because this is the rawest power.
I got this.
Okay, it's all yours. Go ahead, take it.
No, 90 seconds before this hard break. I just wanted to make sure that you understand that there are so many interactions that black people have on a daily basis that they don't really talk about because they're not believed. That's part of our experience. That contributes to that experience being worse and having to put that down. And we need to have some really open and honest conversations that black people should be leading them. And congratulations to Akon Adotu for putting me in front to be able to do that.
Xavier, I can't thank you enough for just spending some time with us. That's what you did. You opened up. This was powerful. And anybody listening, it's impossible to not have been moved by it. Thank you, sir.
My man. Love you, bro.
Love you too. At Xavier Pope is how you follow him on Twitter. We'll wrap the hour next on the second level.
Oh my goodness, that's fine. I hit the red button in that 8-second time. Like so, I counted 3.
Yep.
He said shit, fucking shit. I can say that on your stream, right? That's fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
But now we're forced to sort of.
Because I was like doing something, and then I just hear shit, and I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, so I hit it in that because if you hit it in 8 seconds, it'll cut off on the radio stream. It'll still be on the podcast. I can bleep out the podcast if you want, or just leave it in as is. I think with the podcast we don't have to. I'm not too sure though.
We can buy a day for the scientists to be able to come up with a cure or a vaccine. It's a day closer to having this craziness end, and life will never be the same.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Pharrell. I like hearing the Bundesliga players chirping and the coaches yelling, even though I can't understand a word they're saying in German. I took 1 year of German in high school, and it didn't work out so well for me, the whole German thing. I didn't do well with their language. But I can say, Guten Tag, bitte schön, auf Wiedersehen.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. Into the night.
The great Pat McAfee, an award-winning sports reporter, former punter, joins us now. Pat, I read that you said that you have no shot of being part of the Monday Night Crew. Is that official, or is that just your gut feeling?
A year ago, my boys and I and the people that follow me on the internet are the greatest humans on earth. We pushed for the Monday Night Football rule. We know there was no chance that I would get considered for it, but we made a little bit of noise. And whenever the job seemed to be opened up yet again here, obviously the natural thing was, okay, we made a push for it last year. Let's go for it again. And every time I would ask a question to, my people, I was basically told, that's going to be a long shot because ESPN, they want a prestigious booth again. And whenever you're a punter, that's not necessarily the position you're always in, a prestigious one, shall we say. So I think I've been told on a couple different occasions that I'm probably not the guy that's going to get that gig. And do I think I'd be good at it? Yeah, I think I would be. But now is not the right time. And there is zero chance in hell that I get offered the gig anyways.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Game Time Decisions.
I'm Gabriel Morency, inviting you to join me and the Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart, weekdays at 6 Eastern on SB Nation Radio, the loudest station in the nation. No games, no problem. We've got your back. Weekdays at 6. We throw it down. Best bets, props. If they're playing, we'll find a number on it. Bring it. Weekdays at 6. SB Nation Radio, Game Time Decisions.
Game Time Decisions with Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Dealing with the root of the issues. It's The Second Level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Jander.
All right, thanks to Mr. Pope for joining us. And again, at Xavier Pope is how you can follow him. The Suit Up podcast is worth your time and listen. And when things do return to normal, not that this fight and this movement will or should stop because it will coincide with sports. He's pretty good on sports and sports law as well. So a man, as you could hear, who is not afraid of showing his raw emotions. And hopefully that hit. Hopefully you heard it and it meant something to you, because it definitely did for me. Second hour coming right now. All right, I'll be right back, man. Thanks.
No problem. Same here.
Wake up call!
And one of the things I do like about Rodgers that is not like other quarterbacks in this league, and even veterans in this league who tend to not speak their mind, Rodgers speaks his mind. He's going to probably have a lot to say about this organization not meeting the needs of a 13-3 team that was a win away from the Super Bowl.
So gone are the days of RELAX.
Yeah, I think so.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call!
We know Major League Baseball is trying to get back, but eventually it will, and eventually minor league baseball will be back. And if you are a minor league team in need of a change of identity, would you go with Murder Hornets?
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Kind of like with a hat, with a Murder Hornet hat on it, maybe going through some letter or something. Like if you're Chattanooga, you got a C on it, and a Murder Hornet blasting through.
A Murder Hornet mascot running through the stadium.
Wouldn't it be cool if you have like a race between a bee and a Murder Hornet? Like, everybody, now let's go to the outfield where Harry the Murder Hornet is going to be running against a couple of bees. And you get the fans dressed up as bees, and they're running, and if they can outrun the Murder Hornet, they get a prize pack. But if the Murder Hornet catches them, unfortunately, he's got to rip their head off.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Pharrell.
The Raiders making almost, $500 million in PSLs in their new stadium. So I always told you, they're going to be the most profitable team in the NFL one day. Count on it, because of Vegas and because of that stadium and the amount of events they're going to have there, and Super Bowls and Final Fours and everything else. Just the Raiders alone are going to make so much money, make your head spin.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. The Second Level. The Second Level.
I want you to let this play, and I'm just going to go on this big rant on MLB. Let's see what the juxtaposition sounds like with Beethoven underneath me ranting and raving about MLBs. you better go full right now, heavy into the tournament. That's the only thing you can do to salvage this selfish offseason that you've had, to salvage any type of positive PR back from the fans. And don't just expect because it's on TV, people will watch. You can't go George Costanza in that meeting with the NBC president of, well, it's on TV. That's why people are watching. How did that work? It was a little cathartic, hopefully, for you out there. It was great for me. It does feel therapeutic, I think, but only because of the classical music. I don't know if it would work with any other type of music.
The Second Level, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
If business, pleasure, or sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, check out CultureMap.com to get the scoop on the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, Culture Map has it all. Just head over to CultureMap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free Culture Map updates.
All right, I'm back.
.com.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault.
I want to talk about baseball and the money conversation. What's going on?
I think I'm allergic to milk.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that later, okay? Madeline, I'm on the air, kiddo. I can't talk right now, okay? We'll talk later, okay? Hold on. Just stay right there. I have a commercial break coming up. This is what I'm dealing with the fiber. And my wife is here. I don't know why. Why is Mommy letting you in here, Madeline? Do you want to come on the radio or what? Go ahead. What?
Yes, now.
Yes, now? Wait, so just say hi, then you can be gone, okay?
I'm on the radio now.
You're on the radio now. That microphone's on. You're on the radio now.
Hi, bye. I have headphones.
Those are headphones. Yes, you do. So, yeah, that's my life now, okay? I'm getting interrupted doing national radio with a 5-year-old running in and out. Okay. Thanks, hon. Appreciate it. I'll come talk to you during the commercial break. Oh, boy. Okay.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Game Time Decisions.
What's up, everybody? I am Gabriel Morency inviting you. No, I'm not inviting you. I'm telling you. Join me and the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart weekdays at 6 Eastern as we throw it down on the loudest station in the nation, SB Nation Radio. It's Game Time Decisions with Gabriel Morency and the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Bring it.
Game Time Decisions with Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Listen to the car guru himself, Mike Herzing with Matt Perrault, every Saturday morning from 7 to 8 Eastern on Let's Talk Wheels, right here on SB Nation Radio. Join Mike and Matt as they talk about everything going on in the world of cars. To get more content on your favorite team, you can check out our friends at SBNation.com. They have team-specific sites to fit your needs, whether it's basketball, baseball, NFL, or the school you graduated from. SB Nation has...
All right, I'm back.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level. A Gal Media property in partnership with Jacob Media, where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shander.
We hit the second hour, and I wanted to bring this up because it's a little troubling to me. I'm sure it's going to happen to this show. It happened to yesterday's show, and I went through it trying to figure out where exactly was the issue. In fact, it actually happened on Sunday's show, and that's the one that really set me off. Sunday, I'm on 6 to 9 Eastern here on the network. We are not only live throughout the entire program on all network platforms, but we stream the show. I do on my social platforms. So Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. For some reason, now granted, Xavier Pope was so raw and emotional, and I've known that man for, it seems like 15 years now. I don't think I've ever heard him drop that off the air. So this was the rawest we could get from Pope, and we love him for it. But we are a live radio show on terrestrial radio. This isn't satellite Sirius where, I could say whatever the heck I want, like when I was on Mad Dog or anything. This is, we have to keep the laws and everything according to the FCC. YouTube put a restriction on my video and essentially censored the stream on Sunday. And, the only time that I actually spoke in depth about George Floyd's murder and the subsequent reactions happening around him was at the top of the third hour. So what would be 8:00 p.m. Eastern. And I went back and was looking at all of the different things that I might have said. Of course, not as, inciting any riots or standing behind the destruction of property in any regard. Yet, according to YouTube's terms, I violated it because it's either like you talked about something gory and like violent, or you were inciting violence. So talking about a peaceful protest and alternative non-violent methods of protest got me flagged on YouTube. That's censorship.
That's messed up.
Yeah, isn't that
keeping
crazy?
your employees and customers safe. Cintas
had stuff taken out for copyright, but never for
not even copyright.
disinfectant and sanitizer spray throughout your facility. Our Ultra Clean service for restrooms uses a sanitizer effective against certain germs, bacteria, and viruses. And we'll help you stay well stocked with hand sanitizer, face masks, and essential PPE. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
At Fidelity, we understand priorities can change. So when you partner with a dedicated advisor from Fidelity Wealth Management, they will help you develop a personalized wealth strategy, one that can be flexible enough to evolve as your needs change. Plus, they can offer investing strategies designed to reduce the impact of taxes, all while making sure you understand what you're paying and why. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house. The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal. We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who will get the IRS off your back.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
Call Tax Solutions now. Time is running out. Call 800-296-9744. 800-296-9744. 800-296-9744. 800-296.
Hey, Jack, is there any way you could cut and
Friends,
send that
it's
Pope
Jim
interview
Nance.
to me, please?
Right now,
Okay, thanks, man.
Has more than 1.1 million food insecure people. That's why the Spirit Golf Association
Working on the podcast right now. I can cut that individual.
goal
Okay,
is
awesome,
to raise $2 million and provide hundreds of volunteers. Please text Spirit Food Fund to 41444 and help with whatever you can. Donate to the Spirit Food Fund, benefiting the Houston Food Bank.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLS number 3030.
scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan.
At Shander Show, so you can follow me on Twitter, twitch.tv/Shander Show is how you can follow along on the stream, of course. And we still are awaiting something from Major League Baseball, as comical as that may sound, because this is just not going to move anything. Now, with what's happening around the country as a result of the murder of George Floyd, what was happening pre this outbreak with a pandemic was also really taking a hit on where baseball was on the hierarchy, knowing that everything was kind of morphed together and pushed towards August, really, as the start of things. Now, I did see this story, and we can just take a break for a second because you know that it's not going anywhere. I promise you it's not going anywhere with me. In fact, if you want to just take a look at some of the things we discussed on this very network, I've assembled a couple of clips and put them on my latest column at Philly Voice, phillyvoice.com. You'll see it. We talk a little bit about language and how we get trapped in our language, and that prevents us from accepting change inside and then outside. But the majority of it clips that we can speak about really change that we want to see happen, as opposed to just tweeting about it, feeling good that we got 40 retweets or that we retweeted somebody who's got a blue check that now feels the same way I do. There's a lot more when you're actually on the ground and away from Twitter. I know Twitter is a very comfortable place to be, especially during times like these, but you still have a problem that's not going away. But I did see the story and I thought, well, it's a nice little chuckle by all means, because we all are awaiting some sort of announcement. It would be really nice to get something in front of us to where we can now prepare for the event. I know that there has been a lot of anticipation. There's been a lot of back and forth and who should be involved. But the reality is even after we saw Tom Brady struggle mightily through lying about his handicap and being exposed on national TV in the match too, John Daly has come out. Now, it's interesting because the reason why I bring up this story is twofold. First, just as a nice little aside here that is somewhat relevant because we spent so much time ripping Brady, and it's another opportunity to, and everybody can come together. I think even Patriots fans, I told you, I heard Matt Peralt bury Brady last week on lying about the handicap, and I know for a fact if he was still wearing that 12 up in New England, you wouldn't hear anything like that. No, I just had a really bad day. In fact, I heard he's even better handicap than he laid on. That's what would have been happening if he stayed in New England. But Daly has come out and said, quote, I'm down in Clearwater. He's a buck now, so if he wants to come out, we'll go play golf or I'll meet him. I can help him in 10 minutes. Look, if you can help Tom Brady in 10 minutes, then I'll pay you double. Like whatever Brady is going to pay you, which probably isn't much, right? If Daly's smart, he'll probably try and score some memorabilia or something like that off of Brady that he can then turn around and hold and probably sell much later. But according to Daly, Brady's biggest problem is the driver. John tells us Tom's refusal, TMZ, of course, is us, to use one because of lack of confidence in the club is killing the quarterback's scores. Now, this is where I'm confused. And the game of golf is it's designed to confuse you. It's like the English language. It doesn't make sense when you first look at it, and then you start to go a little deeper, and it makes even less sense. The rules and the applications of it do not make any sense at all. Daly says the driver's the easiest club in the bag to hit. Not for me. It's the biggest face in your bag, and somebody's not helping him. We need to get his driver right. We got to give him a driver. Brady didn't even have one. And that's what was a major indication for a lot of us that he was flat out lying about his handicap. So here's what I'd say, because, you know, I've already told you about benhogangolf.com, where you can go and get fantastic golf gear and not pay any of the markup, essentially pay half off for handcrafted gear courtesy of benhogangolf.com. And I'm thinking, Well, if I get the gear, I still need help. How much do you think Daly would charge? And I'll set this whole thing up, right? I'll have a camera crew come down. We'll make an event of it. And we'll turn Daly into a sympathetic teacher who has the patience of a rock because he's dealing with me who can't be taught how to drive. I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened. But I'm in that area right now where I'm contemplating a couple of holes. Is it even worth it? Is it even worth it to hit the driver, watch it sail, and then all of a sudden hard right or it just hooks left and death where it lands? Is it even worth it at that point? I need Daly. I never thought I'd say this in my life, but I would need John Daly. And I still maintain, see, people will tell you this, right? Oh, it's all about your putting and it's about the short game and stuff like that. I'm decent, not good enough, but decent enough where if I hit the ball 280 straight every single time off the tee, like if I just sat there, got to the tee box and launched it 280, sometimes 300, sometimes 275, 270, whatever, but ranging around 280, 285 with a plus or minus that you'll get with wind and roll and everything. I'm sorry, but I would be at least 15 strokes better. At least. And people will tell you that it's the opposite. Pros and teachers, I think they're full of you-know-what. To be honest with you, I haven't played this game too long, but I've been playing it. And I'm now subscribing to the John Daly theory, which is if you can, look, the guy was on the professional tour, okay? You're not going to use that as any type of real barometer here. He was on the pro tour. But if I could hit the ball, if you could hit the ball, I'm telling you, consistently, 3 is a lot. And that's what John Daly was talking. You know, he's one of these long ball drivers. But I don't even need to be that. I don't need to hit the ball 400 yards. I'm talking about just consistently 285, 280. I know I moved it up 5. 280 with the plus or minus off the tee every single time consistently. That's something that I know would take 10 to 15 strokes off my game. Putting will come. Putting is all about the specific break, the hole, the pole, the pin placement, all of that. It changes. A lot of it is your speed, but that comes like it would be easier to get better at putting if I could consistently hit the driver. It's not going to work the other way around. It's not. And I don't know why people have sold us this lie for so long when it comes to golf. And credit John Daly for speaking the truth here. Credit John Daly for coming out and explaining why hitting the driver and even packing it first and then bringing it would be the difference maker. Daly went on. He'd hit it probably an extra 100 yards off the tee, of course, with the driver, and the whole game would change for him. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely it would change. Are you kidding me? Give me that all day, because if I know that John Daly, I'll pay this guy, I don't know, I'd have to go into some savings and all, but he said he could fix Brady in 10 minutes. What do you think the amount of money it would cost? And again, I'm going to bring the camera crew. I'm going to set this thing up. I'm going to do all I need is John Daly to show up. That's it. He can show up in whatever state of mind or affairs that he wants. I don't need him sober. I don't need him anything. I just need John Daly there. And you tell me what you're going to tell Tom Brady in 10 minutes, please. In fact, if you can't do it for just me, and again, I wasn't just going to hold this secret. My plan was to create some sort of video and put it out there for the masses to see. I wasn't even going to charge you. Not even that. Speaking of which, you have a tweet that you must hear coming up that you probably didn't even know about it. But I've been going back and forth with somebody, and it is the crux of a major issue where people are relying on social media way too much to come away with conclusions about what's happening in real life. At Shander Show, say, get me on Twitter, twitch.tv/Shander Show. Your phone number, 800-224-2004. I wonder, though, if John Daly won't allow me to go down and be the subject of this thing in 10 minutes, would he allow this thing to be filmed and then sold? I would pay money to see this. Now, granted, I would prefer, like all of you would prefer, to actually be there and have Daly right next to you and show you things. But Would you pay $10 if ESPN Plus came out with a 60-minute video that had John Daly explain in what was over the span of 10 minutes, but cut and created into a 60-minute piece? 30 minutes. Let's say 30 minutes, okay? Because I don't want you sitting there for an hour and being bored with it. A 30-minute, not even 30 for 30 and that stuff. I'm just saying it's a standalone program. A 30-minute Disney Plus or ESPN Plus in this case. John Daly helps Brady. Daly the tutor. Coach Daly, whatever you want to call it. I'd pay $10 for that. Now, that's probably a lot. That's probably more than what ESPN Plus has to even pay in order to make a profit on it. But my point of it is that if John Daly is going to teach Tom Brady, who was so afraid of the driver that he refused to bring it at the match too, there are so many people around the country that would pay hard-earned cash to see that lesson. Because Brady is one of us. This isn't Rory McIlroy showing you something and explaining to you something and then hitting the ball himself, or Tiger Woods or Phil or even your local golf pro putting out a video on YouTube. I've been watching these videos on YouTube for the last week trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with my drive. And everything is the same. Well, you got to do this, you got to do this, and then put your head, bam, and then they hit the ball. Well, yeah, they're pros. They've been hitting millions of balls. They've got 1,000,005 balls ahead of me. Brady is us, folks. I hate to admit it, but he's us. You know, I wanted that 110 handicap type golfer, 30-plus handicap golfer to come out, and we got very close to it with Brady. So we'll go back to real life coming up next, as there is a tweet I wanted to bring some awareness to. But when we just look at Daly and him talking to TMZ about fixing Tom Brady, if they ever get together, knowing that they're close now, with Brady being a buck, just know that if anybody is out there who has any type of connection or any type of ear that they can grab from ESPN Plus or Fox Sports or anywhere, know that I would pay for it. That's it. I'm not even asking for any credit. I don't want any royalties. I don't want any kickbacks. If I can't be the subject of this, Tom Brady is, that's fine. Brady's a little bigger than me, and I get that. In fact, Brady is actually a perfect candidate for this because not only is he a mega celebrity, but he stinks at golf. At Shander Show is where you get me on Twitter. A conversation has begun about perception and optics. And once again, I've put this on Twitter, and I hope that I can have this person take advantage of my offer. I'll explain coming up next here on the Second Level.
Clear.
Now imagine how pissed off.
Yeah, so I sent you the raw one. For the podcast, I'm trying to find that last bleep.
Computer beeps, and you have a new message.
Right. Incoming email.
Incoming email from the commissioner.
Or I'm going to send it to you, I should say.
Up to Fortnite, man. I'm kicking ass here. I got to put down my joysticks. Brah. By the way, that's Snell Brah, man. That dude, that's my boy right there. And he's got to read a 67-page report, Harry. Man.
I cut the raw audio, and I'm going to send it to you. For the podcast, I'm just going to go ahead and bleep out the bleeps.
Oh, yeah. The raw audio is perfect. Thank you.
Cool.
No problem. 67 pages. You got to pay me double what I was supposed to get.
How familiar are you with Twitch?
It's just not worth it, man.
Sort of familiar. Here, give me 1 second.
Go ahead.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
Wake up call! It's really weird how gambling is now embraced and everyone acts like they never hated it or bothered by it before.
You know what else is getting that same love? Weed.
Same thing!
For years it was taboo, and now we're getting to that point like, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. Same thing with gambling.
Which my state will legalize it.
Yeah, right? There's a lot of people doing this. Okay, all right, well,
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call! Raiders and Saints, right? Big game. Opening up the brand new stadium. But you know what's going to be missing? There's going to be like 15 people in the shot. The black hole is going to have like 4 participants.
Do you think only AI and D show up?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. AI and D, right. That's the only ones they got. Like, yeah, it's all we can fit in. Social distancing.
Both R's.
S is out. Both R's are gone. They wouldn't let them in the stadium.
Which quarterback is going to shush the crowd?
That's what I was wondering. Which quarterback is going to have the guts to go up to a crowd and go, quiet? I would do it every time I was in the red zone this season. That would be my thing. You're going to be able to hear, beer!
Okay, what were you saying about Twitch?
5 want beer.
I'm over here.
Yeah, all right. It's going to be a walk, but it'll be fine. I'll get there.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Colbert. Weekday mornings. Into the night.
Bruce Arians, head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Coach, how did the whole Tom Brady thing come together for you?
We did our due diligence, and all the guys that were expected to possibly be in the free agency, we broke them all down. And, he was at the top of our list. And then when he decided to leave, we made the phone call, and he and I hit it off pretty good and started working on contracts.
Can you live edit? Can you edit videos that are going on live?
Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
That I do not know. I've never dealt with that before. Sorry, don't have many answers on that one.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the Second Level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
So I understand that just by me saying something or just by me putting something out on a radio show or just by other people, countless, I think, amounts of people doing the same thing, saying the same thing over and over again, doesn't mean that it will resonate with everybody. And I think it's important to recognize when something, as we talk about optics shifting and things moving from protests to riots and looting, is a very important issue to nip at the start. Because although I and Xavier Pope and so many other people can talk, tweet, write, read, and broadcast about that, it's still going to infiltrate on social media, and it's still going to impact people's point of view. So I don't want you to think that this is some extreme me yelling and screaming on the keyboard. And the reason why I bring it up on the radio show is because I mean every word of it. There was a roundtable in Atlanta that was done by another good friend of mine, although we may see things a lot differently on the political spectrum. He's a great friend and good mentor and somebody who, again, like Xavier, I can talk to about life and has helped me in this business, and that's John Kincaid. And he did a roundtable in Atlanta with home team Bleak and Joe Hamilton. And from that came a response by somebody who is labeled at Spirit World Film. Now, this is Chase Smith, award-winning writer, director, filmmaker. He's an author, former coach, teacher, and Georgia dog. So he's down in the ATL following John. I knew that. He was one of John's guys. He tweeted, the conversation shifted because the protests become violent. End of story. Nobody is forcing people to behave that way and commit crimes. Take responsibility for your actions. If there is no violence, there is no shift in story. Stop blaming others for your own actions. This is the end or mid to end result of somebody who is being influenced by the protests turning to riots and looters by outsiders. And again, these outsiders have been labeled a wide range. You've got right-wing extremists, pardon me. Jeez. You've got right-wing extremists to Antifa, two sides, opposite sides of the same political coin, just extreme armies of it. You've got people that live 10 to 15 miles away in the suburbs that are just coming out and just coming down to an area that they know, if they were seen, would give them some cred on their social media. So they're hanging out there. Oh, man, it's cool. Let me break something. Maybe I'll get some cred here in this neighborhood. Maybe I can go to West Philadelphia, even though I live 15, 20 miles north in a very safe and comfortable suburb zone, and come down and start breaking stuff just to be part of it or to get some cred with my friend who lives in that area. Or maybe I'll just do it because I'm fed up and tired of something that happened to me. That is what you will see. And unfortunately, people from the outside who have their own interests have infiltrated. We brought this up. I bring it up again. At no point in my response did I label anything that would indicate the someone told me to do it defense. In fact, I responded, not sure how many videos this person needs to see of protesters telling infiltrators not to burn, riot, loot. And this is where I put my money where my mouth is, because this is not just some bot. This is an award-winning writer, director, filmmaker. This is somebody who has an IMDb page. This is someone who should be more responsible with how he or she consumes the information and then puts it back out, especially on social media. So his response is that I am literally saying someone told me to do it when talking about grown people. The devil made me do it defense does not hold up, my friend. Again, that's why I read you my response, because in nowhere in that response is me saying anything about the actual people in the community are the ones doing it and therefore should be off the hook. No, I'm not justifying the rioting. I'm not justifying the looting. What I've been saying in both Twitter and message on radio and now print on Philly Voice is that a ton of people that don't seem to live in these areas that are being destroyed have infiltrated these areas. And I'm using West Philadelphia and other parts, Overbrook, other parts of the greater Philadelphia area, downtown area that spills out into residential areas as my firsthand example. So I have offered to fly this man up. I've offered to put him in a hotel. I've offered to pay for his local travel. I will pay for everything. This is a filmmaker. This is somebody whose job it is to capture. Why wouldn't you use your tools now to capture real life? So what I've offered, and he's gone silent since, and it's a shame because my offer is still there. I will fly this person up. I'll pay for his hotel, and I'll pay for his local travel. If he wants to wear a mask and gloves, he can sit in the back seat of my SUV, and I'll drive him to these areas, and we can talk to local residents. We can sit there, and he can film what local residents have to say about who was actually doing the rioting and burning and who was actually starting a fire or threw the bricks or was instigating the physical confrontations. I'm more than happy to do that. The offer still stands. For some reason, this man has went dark as a result of that, which is a shame because I would hope that he could see it with his own eyes. Again, you may not believe it, like this person on Twitter may not believe it because you're seeing what you're seeing. I don't know how many times you need to see somebody leading a protest with a bullhorn, somebody with an iPhone just filming, or somebody who is yelling and screaming and being filmed. Direct their energy. I mean, think about this. Think about how irresponsible you have to be to take away somebody's energy who is protesting the fight against their basic human rights, mind you. And here you come and try and instigate stuff. Now, look, it doesn't mean that every single person, because you don't make generalized statements. That's how you get caught generalizing. John McMullen's going to join us 5 minutes from now. There is something out of China that's rather interesting. I know we have our own issues and things going on with social unrest, but the virus is still here. It has not gone away by any means. Conflicting reports coming out of China, and I'll hit this real quick before John McMullen joins us. The WHO initially came out yesterday, and this was from the AP, admitted that China was way behind in releasing information from both people who tested positive, deaths, etc., to also just information that they've picked up about the virus. And coincidentally or not, a day after, you find them coming out with, we've tested 9.9 million people for COVID-19 from May 14th to June 1st. Only 300 asymptomatic carriers have been confirmed. It's conflicting, and it's a wide range of conflict. We'll talk to John McMullen now.
Jay Farner here.
All right, I'm gonna get them for you.
Thanks, man.
Making the right.
Yeah, your hour's up. I bleeped out all the curse words and. Yeah, I'm gonna send you your hours in a second.
Oh wait, can you just email me the actual interview?
Yeah, do you still want me to send you your hours?
Yeah, please. You can just do the hours at the end. I just wanted to see if you could cut the interview real quick.
Oh yeah, it's already cut. It's already in my
Oh,
folder.
awesome. Thanks, man.
Rocket or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLS number 3030.
At CDW, we get putting productivity within reach of remote employees.
That's why I'm WFC, working from couch and moving everything within arm's length, like the microwave. Lunchtime.
You should talk to the experts at CDW.
Oh, man, you can
they
do
can
this.
orchestrate
This is
a more
awesome.
efficient workspace solution using light, powerful devices from Lenovo to keep your teams productive from anywhere, couch included.
Yeah.
What is it, like a dummy button on Twitch?
The orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Learn more at CDW.com/Lenovo.
Sorry, you can
Client.
go to the video editor.
And
and in the video editor, you can clip a highlight of something you've already done,
Cintas has
but it
the
allows you to
products and
do it
services
during a
you
live
need
show
to
as
feel
well.
Prepared. A trained Cintas technician can apply disinfectant and sanitizer spray to common surfaces, and we'll keep you.
That was John. He's on.
Gloves,
Awesome, thanks.
face masks,
Sweet.
sanitizer, and disinfectant wipes, professional cleaning supplies, and PPE. Just a few ways Cintas can help you keep your business safe. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
For the ones we trust to always be there. For the ones caring for others. For the ones who keep things going, no matter where they are. In extraordinary times, extraordinary people step up, like the ones standing guard and standing on the front lines, and the ones who are staying apart while still working together. With your efforts, we will get through this. We're grateful for all you do. Visit Grainger.com for resources that can help as you create your recovery plan. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5759. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5759. That's 1-800-959-5759. 1-800-959-5759.
Why is he clicking?
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shannon.
It's a Tuesday, and it's 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time, which means we get to talk to our NFL insider, courtesy of Jacob Media, and covers the Eagles, the NFL. Hear him on the Tony Bruno Show, which airs here evenings, Monday through Friday. Also, SI.com. He's a lot of places. He also is a new... See, now you're screwed. You know this, right? Because I get to call you a colleague now, and you get to be dragged down and understand what it means to have to go around this great city and state in which we live in and have to apologize that not only do you know me, but you work with me as a new, congratulations, sir, columnist on phillyvoice.com.
Yeah, thanks, Eitan. You're probably going to get dragged down after my column this week, so you can look at it both ways.
Well, remember, yours came out yesterday, mine came out today, so it's really just a prisoner of the moment to see who enrages the majority of people. Let's start there, though, and as somebody who enjoyed it and understands where you're coming from and agrees with a lot of your worldview, can you begin to enter a summary of what you wrote about in Philly Voice and why it was necessary to put it out this week?
Well, it's difficult in this week, I think, for anyone. You have this mentality and this sentiment from a group of people that always look at columnists like me, talk show hosts, whoever like you, and some of us who do both, like both of us, and they say stick to sports. And believe me, I would love to stick to sports. I don't want to have to be addressing these types of things, but let's be honest. I mean, sports is very small in the real world and what's going on right now. So I think to ignore it is doing a disservice. And, I tried to give my opinion on what's going on. And I think there's a lot of unserious people in this world. And by that, I mean, look, if you're not capable of holding two thoughts in your mind at the same time, and you can't say what happened to George Floyd was a tragedy and should never have happened, and he deserves justice, and at the same time say you can't loot and burn American cities, you're not a serious person. And I don't think that should be controversial at all.
Well, what response do you get on either side of the aisle that seems to be in the same building year in and year out? But what response do you get as far as resistance to the point that you make? What's the most, I guess, common response that you find? Well,
the common response is depending on the side you want to look at. And right. I always say, I know I'm doing my job when I get hate mail from both sides. And that's pretty much where I am. And it depends. I mean, if you say anything that could be remotely taken as a conservative viewpoint, you're automatically put in a camp that supports Donald Trump. And if you say anything that supports a more liberal viewpoint, you're put into a camp that says you hate America or what have you. It's two extremes. And I've always found this interesting, Eitan, because if you think about the political landscape as a whole, and everyone says far left, far right, center, you're talking about a straight line. It's really a circle. And if you think about the far right in this country, the far left in this country, they're going around the circle to 180 degrees away from pragmatic people and where people should be. And they both reach the same spot. They take different paths, but they reach a spot of intolerance. And they're both intolerant. And it's ironic they have so much in common. And they hate each other.
Yes, and I think a lot of times where we get the stick to sports and people in sports move away from it, it's tough for people to comprehend that and I think you and I are right there kind of lockstep, that we're not influenced by either side because we don't subscribe to it to the point in which it dictates our worldview. And we don't try and force a worldview to fit an already pre-existing political worldview or narrative. And people get shocked when you don't do that.
Yeah, well, they don't believe it exists. Really, I get
that's
that
a great
all the
point.
time. They do not even can't comprehend that somebody could be objective. Now, everyone has personal biases, but in an industry, when you're trying to be a journalist or a reporter, you try to be as objective as possible, and you try to go down that path. And there are people in this world that just don't believe that exists, and don't believe people try to do that, and they just dismiss it. So that's one part of it. But the second part is the sports world in general. And I think we are lucky from the standpoint of this is a world where a lot of this doesn't exist. I've been covering the NFL for a long time. It's a predominantly African-American league. It's interesting to see the acceptance between races and cultures and life statuses in a locker room. And that extends to, I think, reporters as well. It really is, and in some standpoints, we're very, very lucky to live in that bubble where people don't have this animosity. They really don't. And I think that part is one of the things in sports when we take this full circle. That's one of the best things about sports. A lot of this stuff doesn't exist.
And you're starting to see that where, and let's work in reverse, because I don't want to start with Carson Wentz or Steve Nash or others. I'd start with someone like Richard Sherman, who made a comment, and the days seem to blur together, so maybe it was Saturday, about it being refreshing to see people like Carson and others in the NFL who look like Carson Wentz speak up. And I part of me is like, yes, I agree with Richard Sherman, and I'll never disagree with that sentiment. At the other part of it, I'm like, well, where is our bar right now to set so that we don't get caught in the same position the next time there's a completely ridiculous, unnecessary murder that we see at the hands of police on television?
Yeah, and I think a lot of ways one of the problems is people are setting bars and people are keeping score, and especially on social media, and you and I have talked about this a lot. I'm not a big fan. I think it does a lot more harm than good. It's not to say there isn't good. There's a lot of good with social media, but you see it happening today. And I saw it happening. We're obviously local in Philadelphia. You know, people are calling out the Eagles. They haven't issued a statement, but people are checking boxes. They're keeping score. Carly Lloyd, for instance, is South Jersey native, the famous women's soccer player. She's tweeting about going to play golf with her husband, and people attacked her for not using her platform correctly. What is that? The fact that people look to athletes and professional sports teams, and this is part of what I wrote in PhillyVoice.com, the fact that people look to these entities as moral compasses, look in the mirror. If you expect Carson Wentz, Andy Dalton, or anybody else, or Richard Sherman, anybody, to be your moral compass, you're doing something wrong. And that's not to say they can't be. Somebody like Malcolm Jenkins, who's done so much in the community as a whole. But think about Malcolm specifically. There's a guy who's spoken in front of Congress. He's gone to local police departments, local governments. This is one of his loves. This is one of his passions. He's done the homework. He's done the work to be a legitimate leader on these types of societal issues. That doesn't mean every athlete has to do or has done that same thing. So I think the scorekeeping is absurd, and it's just checking boxes. Anthony Lynn said that to the Los Angeles Times. But, what, you got to check a box? That's meaningful? In what way is that meaningful?
Do you think that we will see something from the NFL beyond the statement that got tons of backlash from Roger Goodell? I know that everybody wants to jump in the race as far as, hey, we're going to do something, we're going to help. And there is a little bit of irony, I guess, involved when you see Nike and other major multi-billion-dollar corporations. But let's just focus on the NFL for a second. What do you anticipate is going to happen from the NFL in response to what happened with George Floyd and, of course, what's going on with protesting to rioting to looting that followed before the season starts?
I don't know. Again, you saw the box checked, so to speak, and the backlash, which was incredibly predictable. It was a no-win situation from the league standpoint. They'll continue to do a lot of the things they're already doing as far as working with the Players Coalition, and I imagine that type of more meaningful work will ramp up. As far as the public-facing part of it and trying to quell the public's viewpoint of the league, that's really difficult. Joe Lockhart came out with an op-ed that nobody read, and they're all saying, see, it was about his explanation of the Colin Kaepernick situation. And he basically confirmed, and remember who Joe Lockhart is. He's a former Clinton administration press secretary. very liberal guy, very progressive, Democrat, checks all those boxes. And he basically said the league was trying to get owners to sign Colin Kaepernick. Nobody read that part of the op-ed. So he basically blew up the blackball theory, which I had been reporting from day one. This was owners not wanting the headache of signing a backup quarterback that was going to create a firestorm. But that's not sexy, Eitan.
No.
Telling the truth often is not sexy.
No, it's definitely not. And especially if it's communicated on social media and completely lost in message. I'm curious because this is right up your alley. Did you see that Carnegie Mellon story? I've been tweeting the hell out of it for the last couple of days, so I don't know if maybe you muted me. You might have been sick and tired of it, but
I did not mute you, but I haven't seen the story.
This is fascinating.
I get so many hate tweets.
No, don't worry.
Stay off social media.
It's fascinating because it's happening as we speak with the conflation of people leading peaceful protests to outsiders, as you mentioned, two extreme sides that are right next to each other on the political circle, right down to somebody who lives, 10, 15 miles north of Overbrook or West Philly thinking, yeah, I'm going to go in and, get some street cred or take a picture of me next to a broken building, stuff like that. So the study came out for the last 5 months on Twitter. Carnegie Mellon determined that of the top 80% of people influencing, and I have it here, I'll read it verbatim, okay? To analyze bot activity around the pandemic, Carnegie Mellon researchers since January collected more than 200 million tweets discussing coronavirus or COVID-19. Of the top 50 influential retweeters, John McMullen, 82% are bots. Of the top 1,000, 62% are bots. Twitter is no longer, nor was it ever, any free-flowing information. It's infiltrated by bots. That's with medical science. Imagine how many bots are infiltrating the George Floyd discussion.
Oh, yeah, you get it already. And you see, and, in the old school way, it was, you could tell from the egg, but now it's just, you can tell from the name that says whatever. If it was Eitan 679342, you kind of know it's a bot as opposed. But yeah, I mean, this is not a free flowing platform of ideas, and I don't know if that's necessarily Twitter's fault. I think you have people hijacking the system, and they do it with Facebook and Instagram and everything else as well. I mean, that's where we are in this society, and it's, you're either with me or against me, and people keep score, as I was saying. And there's no room for layered thinking. Everybody has this litmus test. And if you don't agree with me on a particular issue, you're a terrible person. And I advocate for everybody to step off social media and think about their everyday lives. Think about their real lives. Think about their neighbors they might like, their friends they like. They don't ask them these questions. They don't ask litmus tests of them. But online they do. And it creates this visceral hate. And, people got to get off. They got to go live life and just be kind. That's a pretty simple rule.
I think that's a great place to end, John. Pretty simple rule for people to follow. And you can follow John at JF McMullen on Twitter. We'll chat again on Thursday, sir. Thank you. And again, phillyvoice.com is where you can read the article.
All right. Thanks, Eitan. Appreciate
you got it, John. Absolutely. We'll wrap the show next here on The Second Level.
Ernie Johnson, the host of the NBA on TNT, joins us right now. Ernie.
Clear. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Pushing and pulling from different sides.
You're good.
I was just responding to John. Thanks, man.
If there's pushing and pulling in the NBA, it's just a reflection of the society that we're living in now, too, because you see states, some are opening things back up quicker than others are, and others are exercising more caution. And so I think it's the same way with the NBA. I mean, you're dealing with 30 NBA cities, and the rules aren't the same for everybody. So that makes it impossible, Tony, to say, oh, yeah, well, it looks like things are right on track to start playing again on this date. And I've said it since day one. If you're going to go back to work on this, if this season is going to resume, man, you better be pretty darn sure that this is safe and you won't have to worry. And to me, you can't do that yet, certainly. And I don't know if we will see a resumption of the season.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Pharrell.
Coast to coast! You know SB Nation's taking over the world, right?
Why, of course.
It's Pharrell here from Sports Grid. Here's what happened. They signed Pharrell Coast to Coast and Morency Game Time Decisions, put it on from 4 to 7 East, and then everybody else in our path. What we're doing is we're destroying them.
Total, complete, absolute annihilation.
And it's a lot of fun.
This is going to be good.
Pharrell.
Coast to coast! You know SB Nation's taking over the world, right?
Why, of course.
It's Pharrell here from Sports Grid. Here's what happened. They signed Pharrell Coast to Coast.
Hey, no rejoin. We're going to just go.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
Put it
I
on
didn't
for-
realize it was 55. That's on me, man.
Hey, no worries, man.
No, I should have.
Doing is we're destroying
Xavier was one
them.
thing to let him run, but we have John twice a week, so he was going, and I didn't want to interrupt him because he was making some good points, but I should have broke at least a minute earlier. So, sorry.
Yeah, man, it's fine. It's my fault too because I'm working with the computer because something's going on where we need to reset it. So I lost track.
There's always something, man.
Exactly.
Ron's always going through some shit.
Maybe it's just the early morning stuff. Who knows?
It might be. I don't know. That's funny. I don't know.
This is odd. Like I'm working with you, and it's not like midnight or weekends.
Right.
Yeah, I had to drive downtown like I was going to a real job or something.
Sweeping statement about nothing but online classes later in the year, and he's
time.
making the decision.
Not a problem, mate, son.
These guys
So we only do that Ben
want to see
Hogan
their
thing
names
once a
in
show,
print,
right?
Making bold.
Yes. I cut it and I sent it to. I already sent it to Ron. Put it in his
Perfect.
folder.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
Behind the scenes, and then they'll make their splash when the time comes. And I'm telling you, I think that time will be sometime next month.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Tell me where to go. All right, great stuff from John McMullen. Before that, Xavier Pope with very raw emotion, explaining how he's feeling, how a lot of people who don't have a voice are feeling. You could follow Xavier again at Xavier Pope, at JF McMullen, at Shander Show for me. Great job, Jack. Appreciate you hanging with me today. And as you know this by now, Matt Peralt comes your way next across all network platforms. Hopefully he heard my idea about Brady and he's not totally blinded by his hatred for number 12 that he's down in Tampa Bay. Have a great day. Be smart. Be safe. We'll chat Wednesday.
All clear?
Thanks, brother.
Take it easy, Aton.
You too, Jack. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay.